Hi everyone, my name is Carol Brownell and I am the Director of Heart Homeschool Group, and we are a third option group in the state of South Carolina located in the upstate area near Anderson. And tonight we're going to talk about high school tracks, how to choose the correct track for your child and what classes you want to include, things to look for when you're going through high school to help you decide. So first of all, when you get into high school, you'll hear people talk about Carnegie units, and really that is just 120 hours of instruction. That's how it was when it was created almost 100 years ago, 120 hours of instruction. Just a normalized way to say that a high school student had done enough work to go into college. So these are also called credits. And you'll see a range now from 120 to 150, even 180 hours of instruction. But if you are using a standard curriculum package, maybe you've ordered a biology book and the labs, you're not going to be tracking hours in the state of South Carolina. That would be a credit when you finish that class or come very, very close. So we only use hours now if it's something like music or PE, where tracking hours helps you to decide when you've done enough of that subject. So in 8th or 9th grade, your child is probably going to start their high school transcript. Definitely in 9th grade, but some students are starting in 8th grade with a couple of high school classes and maybe even one in 7th, but that's pretty uncommon. Just remember, if you do want your student to earn high school credit in 8th grade, it needs to be a high school level class and high school level materials. So the sequence and credits are often set by the provider. If you're not sure the order of science or the order of math, look at what your curriculum provider is selling and see how many credits they assign. So if you look online, most curriculum gives economics and government half a credit each. Other than that, most of your credits are, or most of your classes that you order for high school are just a full credit class. And another common one is driver's ed. Usually if your child has done driver's ed in South Carolina, we would assign half of a credit. So when you're thinking about a high school track for your child, you want to try to figure out where your student is headed. Will it be a 2-year associate degree, a 4-year degree, workforce? What is it that they desire to do? And then what are their interests? What do they think their major might be? Because if you have a student going into art and a student going into science, we're going to choose different classes for those students to get them ready. If you are not sure, let's say it's 9th grade and your student has no idea, and that's really common, just start with the basic 9th grade requirements and the basic 10th grade requirements. And hopefully by the time you get about halfway through high school, your student is getting close to their senior year. He or she will know what they may like to do, but just start out with the basic college requirements and you should be fine. You don't want to listen to a student who says, well, I'm never going to college, and get to their senior year, things change, and they're missing a lot of classes. So if at all possible, keep them on a normal college track and just try to push that way in case that happens. Add in any extra interest they may have, whether it's PE or sports, music, computer, science, forensics, whatever it is that your student loves, there's probably a class out there that could be an elective for that student. And if you're not sure and your student is getting toward the senior year, try the type focus test. This test is available online, and it's one of those that helps you to pinpoint the things you like, where would you like to work, what would you like to do, and make suggestions for the student to see what might be a good fit for him. And lastly, keep your records well, especially if your student is not headed to college, because that is the student that is most likely to come back 5 years later ready to get a degree, and then mom doesn't have the paperwork that she needs. And it happens all the time, especially with students who have been out of school for 10 or 15 years. And at that time, option 3 groups were not keeping transcripts, and most moms were making them. So if it's not available, they're out of luck. We have several students from 2004, 2005 who can't get into college or military service because the transcripts weren't kept and the diploma is not available. So make sure those two things are done, make sure they're done right, and you have them for that student. So as we talk about high school tracks, the first thing we want to remember is that homeschool law requires those 4 core classes every year. Your English, which has lit and comp, your math, science, and social studies. Keep that in the back of your mind, because even when you have the 3 social studies required to graduate in South Carolina, you will still need to take social studies your senior year. So for Heart, if you have a student who is going into a tech school or considering working after high school, we suggest 4 math, 4 English, 3 science, 3 social studies, 1 PE, 1 foreign language or career tech class, and 1 computer science. So that will help them to get a rounded out education. You will need a few more electives to get the correct number of credits to graduate, but these are things we want to see when kids are going to graduate. And this is a pretty good transcript in case they wanted to go into a tech school. Notice the classes are not specified, but you do want to make sure they're high school level. So you can add more of these things. If you have your 4 core each year, you'll end up with 16 credits. The 3 electives that are required here will give you 19. You want to get at least 22, usually 24 is best if you're assigning a diploma. 24 is usually the minimum, but definitely 22 if you're struggling to get there, or if you've transferred in from somewhere else. You're going to have different requirements from different states. So on the left, you see what Heart recommends for tech or workforce for us to keep a transcript and send that on. This is what you would want to see as a minimum, and definitely get to 22 credits. We're much more comfortable with 24. But if you go to a 4-year school in South Carolina, the Commission of Higher Education has specified what needs to be the minimum on your transcript. So for math, they specify the classes: Algebra 1, 2, Geometry, and 1 Higher Math. Then for English, with American and British literature highly recommended. 3 lab sciences from 2 areas of science. So they couldn't all be biology. You need a mix of biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science. Those are the 4 areas available. We have U.S. history, government, economics, and then probably a world history or world geography is most common. But for social studies, you could also do psychology or some other type of study of a people group. 1, fine arts or music. It can be appreciation of art or appreciation of music. It can be media arts. So there's a lot of options there. 1 PE or ROTC. 1 computer science is highly recommended. And for this, we're not talking keyboarding. You want to either use computer applications or computer programming for these classes. And then 2 foreign language from the same language. 2 foreign language. And right now, Latin does still apply for foreign language, and most schools will take sign language, but you do want to check where you're going because that's one that can change. But as far as I know, right now, everyone is still taking Latin and sign language at the college level. They're saying that is okay. So these are your requirements, whether you're headed to a tech and workforce track or you're going to do a 4-year college prep track. The sooner you know, the sooner you can gauge where your student should be headed. But like we said, the first 2 years, if you keep them on the college prep track and they're doing well, just go ahead and finish that out because it's very likely that they will want to go to college at some time, even if it's not right after high school. That's very, very common. And also be aware that your student may go to school out of state and there may be a different requirement there. So no matter where your student ends up, make sure you're contacting them early to see if there might be added requirements. As an example, Clemson and Furman are looking for a third foreign language, and they can give you one deficiency if you have one item missing, but they really prefer that you have everything that they are looking for. So schools are going to be pretty strict about this. These transcripts are actually being audited now by the Commission on Higher Education. Each school is being audited every 3 years before they're given scholarship money. So they're being very serious about who's coming in and what's on the transcript. You want to be careful, you want to keep good records, and make sure you're ready for that as your student goes off to college. So that's it for high school tracks. Definitely let us know if you have any questions about this or we can help you in any way. Just contact us through email or give us a call through the website. Thank you.